Chesed v'emet, chesed l'alofim, aser avon v'fesha, chatav v'makeh. Tefilati Lecha Adonai Ratzon Elohim Lecha Aneni Tefilati Lecha Adonai V'rov hastecha Aneni Emet yishecha.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shema.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shema.
Adonai iti, Uleromema, Shema Yagrena, Lecha Adonai, Agidura, Agidura, Agideret, Yahid, Sabrahon, Kifahu Hashamayim, Umaret, Kifahu Hashamayim, Umaret, Adonai, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'hizdachaveu, Le'har Gadosh, Ki Gadosh, Adonai Eloheinu.
This is beautiful, Torah. I appreciate it.
Today's the 22nd, right?
Yeah, it was,
Okay. We have the same reading we had yesterday. So we're Vayikra, chapter 22, verse 26, but we'll get there. I wanted to follow up on some of the things we've been talking about here. The relationship between Judaism and nature. Well, we've looked at it a few different ways, and it's, I think there's a metaphor in here somewhere. I'm going to share with you an idea that I got. I got it from Jonathan Sachs, but I'm not going to read you what he says. But he does say that there's no other festival, no other holiday in the entire Jewish calendar that, let me get this out of the way, in which nature is so emphasized. We have the 4 species, the lulav, the palm frond, if I get it all right in English, the palm frond, the citron, the willow, and the myrtle. Now, there is a midrash that says that they each represent different kinds of Jews, and you need to put them all together so that we can, we function best as a society when we use all elements of the society. That, it's a good point, and I think it's probably a true point. But the 4 species themselves are the product of the land of Israel. And in order to grow them, you need what? And where's the water come from? Right. Moses is having where we are in the Torah reading right now, in the regular Shabbat readings, Moses is about to drop a bomb on the Israelites. So I've been telling you, that this is a land flowing with milk and honey. But the problem is there's no rivers. Where you were in Egypt, there were rivers. It was alluvial irrigation. But Israel is rocky and craggy and mountainous and has, you're only relying on rain. And if it don't come, you don't eat. And that's why you see in the Bible, like, excuse me, 2 or 3 times people going down to Egypt to get food. There's famine in the land of Canaan, and people have to leave and go get food somewhere else. So this is the dicey relationship that we have with nature. So he brings this idea that in a pagan society, all the gods are represented in real life. The god of wind, the god of, different natural, lightning, thunder, mountains, whatever. The Yam is the Ugarit name for the god of the sea. What do we call the sea? The Yam. So it's sort of like Thursday in English. You don't have to believe in Thor to say Thursday. But the idea of a god being outside of nature was new. These people have never heard it before. That God was not in nature, he was above nature. That nature was part of God, not God being part of nature. It's a little conceptual. Can you think of this, another way to say this? I'm up for conversation. That God, the Jewish idea is that God is above nature. God is supernatural. And to use, pardon my Latin. What was that, Jim? All-encompassing. Yes, everything could be included in God, and then some. And we have him pegged as the ruler, the creator, the judge of all things, and so we have this relationship with nature. We consider ourselves a product of dust and God's breath. The dust of the earth, and God breathed life into that, and there you got your life. And it's not natural. It's just not a natural thing. He brings in another opinion, and what struck me is he brings in a real anti-Semite to make the point. You may have heard of Friedrich Nietzsche. He wrote bad things about us. Quote, among other things, the Jews made of themselves an antithesis to natural conditions. They inverted religion, religious worship, morality, history, psychology, one after the other in an irreparable way into the contradiction of their natural values. In other words, Jews go against nature. Now, Judaism does go against nature, but we think it's to make the world a better place. For example, we believe in justice versus power. In the real world, in the natural world, power rules. In the world that the Judaism would have you make, Sybil's here. In the world that Judaism would have you make, justice is the highest value. Right instead of might. Reverence rather than domination. Hearts and minds over strict fists. We are at odds with nature to a certain extent. So the state of nature is a state of war, everything all the time against each other. I suppose you could have brought in Hobbes saying that the existence of humanity is the war of everybody against everybody, and that your life as a human being is, what is it? Brutish, nasty, and short. It was a little longer list, but we're winging it. So it's no accident. He concludes, after making this comparison with the world of Nietzsche and the world of Judaism, that that's why Sukkot is where it is in the calendar. It's a festival of nature. It's built around the idea of rain. And we talked about this. You need rain in Israel in order for the plants like our 4 species to grow. As a matter of fact, there's a rabbinic saying that the rainfall of the world is judged at this time. That's why we changed the Mashiva Ruach U'Merida Gashem to Merida Tal and back and forth. We pray for rain, but they say don't pray for rain until a certain date. You know why they said that certain date? Because everybody had come into Jerusalem for the festival, and we wanted to give them time to get home before it started raining. So we don't want to pray for rain too soon, but nonetheless, we need the rain. And Moses drops this on the Israelites, saying, you're going to have to really work at this. And there's no going back to Egypt. You're not going to do that, and you're going to make it work. And for a long time, we did. He says, the land you are about to enter and possess is not like the land of Egypt for which you have come, where you planted your seed and irrigated it as a vegetable garden. But the land you're crossing the Jordan to possess is a land of mountains and valleys and it drinks rain from heaven. It is a land that the Lord your God looks after. The eyes of the Lord your God are continually on it from the beginning of the year to its end. In other words, God's watching, but you don't always get the rain you want. All kinds of stuff grew out of the Nile's fertility. The Nile Delta was famously fertile, but the land of Israel, Canaan, was not. We talked about how, who went, it was Abraham and Sarah. They got to the land of Canaan. The first thing they did was leave because of a famine. And the same thing all the way up to Joseph's brothers. There's a famine in the land. Where do you go? Let's go to Egypt and get grain. We can't go. There's a bad man there. So even today, water is Israel's scarcest resource. And Israel has made such advances in this area. Desalination, amazing technologies that have come out of Israel in so many different ways, but just about getting water to people. It's been a real, it's in the forefront, a real pioneer. Nothing in the land of Israel is predictable. Nothing can be taken for granted. Not a place of natural security. Matter of fact, this holiday has been called the holiday of insecurity. You live in a hut. The rich live in a hut. The poor live in a hut. Everybody's a great equalizer. We all live in Sukkot. I mean, maybe you don't. But what I'm saying is that at the time when everybody did this, it was a great equalizer. The rich and the poor all had to live the same way. Now, it's true. I have seen Sukkot, very well built, with just the right amount of schach on top, bed, television set, the whole 9 yards, decked out. And I don't know. I tried putting a TV set in our sukkah once in Israel, and I think the cord just got chewed up by a dog. So daily survival in Israel is a matter of trust. And we're focusing on the fact that we've trusted God to get us out of Egypt. We've trusted God to get us into the land of Israel. And we have no real choice but to trust that we're going to be here for the next one. We might not be all together. We may not be in Israel. We may not be in Anaheim. Who knows? But the reason we're here today is that we all feel that relationship with this holiday and the relationship with the nature. Climatically and militarily, Israel has always been particularly exposed. A dry land depends on rain, a small country surrounded by great empires. Never a fortress, always a sukkah. Other empires, the symbol of their leader's house is a castle, a palace, a fancy schmancy, Buckingham. Israel, it's a sukkah. There's so much in the culture to remind you of where you came from. Don't ever forget you were slaves in Egypt. You were mistreated, and now you know what it feels to be mistreated. And even in these little sukkot, you can be hospitable, you can be nice to people, and you can take in strangers. We go against nature, and we are the better for it. The line in Genesis is, go forth and subdue the earth. Doesn't mean obliterate it. It means tend it, make sure it's nice, habitable, and a thing that you can share. So let's all share this. We're at the Torah reading. And again, it's Vayikra, Leviticus 22:26. As soon as I get there.
Use this book, I'll do it for you.
V'azavegin v'loshilchosim b'vadim amin. Hakol havu gurlin u'nuchabala Torah yamot kohen. Yamot Elad Michael ben Meir HaKohen v'Rivka. Kohen Kohen Baruch Natan Torah l'mos rabbi b'sado.
V'atem
Avikim Elohechem.
Chaim
Chaim Kolchem. Hayo.
7:23 in your big red chumash. 7:23.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch
Baruch Olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher בחרבנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Shor ochesed v'oez ki valid vayashivat yamim tachat imo. Mayom hashmini v'hala yirotzeh lekorbani shel Adonai. V'shor oseh otovet beno lo tishchatu biyom echad. V'chidis b'chu zevach toda l'Adonai lirtzonchem tispachu. Vayom ahuli achel ototiru mimenu ad bokir ani Adonai. Ushmartem mitzvotai. Vasitem otam ani Adonai. V'lahot achalalu ad shem kodshi. V'nikdashti bedoch b'nei Yisrael ani Adonai mekadishchem. Hamotzi etchem eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai. V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'amarta alehem. Moadei Adonai asher tikru otam mikrai kodesh. Elahei moadai. Sheshed yamim te'aseh malacha. V'yom hashvi'i. Shabbat Shabbaton mikra kodesh kol malacha lo ta'asu. Shabbat hi l'Adonai b'chol moshvotechem.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Amud Levi, Amud David, Ben Shlomo Mordechai, Halevi, Levi.
We're on page 725, and we're about to go through the cycle of holidays. It's a calendar aliyah, and for a few of them.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen.
Amen. Ele moadei Adonai mikrai kodesh, asher tikru otam b'moadam, b'chodesh harishon, barba asar l'chodesh ben arba'im pesach l'Adonai, v'chamisha asar yom l'chodesh hazeh, chag hamatzot l'Adonai, shivat yamim matzot tochilu, v'yom harishon mikra kodesh yelachem kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu, v'yigravtem mishel Adonai, Shivat yamim b'yom hashvi mikra kodesh kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'amarta alehem ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem u'kutzartem et kitzira v'vitem et omer shikitzirchem el hakohin v'nihiv et haomer lifnei Adonai l'rtzonchem imacharad ha-shabbat inifenu hakohin v'asitem b'yom hanivchem et haomer Kevastami menshnato leola l'Adonai u'minchato shnei esronim solet lulav Hashemen ishel Adonai reach nichoach v'nizkor yayin v'itahin v'lechem v'kali v'charmel lo tochlu ad etzem hayom hazeh araviyochem et korban Elohechem chukat olam l'dorotechem v'chol moshvotechem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Tavod Rivcha Michael bat Shalom Menachem Besara. Shlishi.
We're on page 727. No, excuse me. Verse 15. So that's 726, verse 15.
Baruch hu et Adonai hambarach.
Baruch Nebrach Lelam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hambarach lelam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Nusavartem lachem imacharad ha-shabbat miyom haviyachem et omer ha-tzunufa sheva shabbatot rimot tiyena ad bacharad ha-shabbat ha-shvi'it yispru chamishim yom v'ikravtem mincha chadasha l'Adonai mimoshvotechem taviu lechem tenufa ha-shtayim shtei esronim solet tiyena chametz yafena bikurim l'Adonai v'ikravtem ala lechem shivat Kvasim tzimimim b'nei shana uvahar ben bakar echad ve'lim shtayim yu ola l'Adonai u'min chada b'nizkehem yisherech nichoach l'Adonai v'asitem sirizim echad lechatat u'shnei kvasim b'nei shana l'zevach shlamim ve'nif hakohin otam lechem habikurim t'nufa lifnei Adonai Ashnei Kavasim Kodesh Yul Adonai LaKohen Ukratem Be'etzem Hayom Hazeh Mikra Kodesh Yelachem Kom Lechet Avodah Lo Ta'asu Chukat Olam B'chol Mashvotechem V'Dorotechem V'Kutzrechem Et Kitzir Artzechem Lo Techaleh Pe'ad Sadcha B'Kutzrecha V'Lechet Kitzircha Lo Telakit La'ani v'lager da'azov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata petachenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamod Revi'i. Yamod Moshe ben Yehuda Zev. Revi'i.
Yeah. I'll get around.
B'chodesh HaShevi'i, right after.
Yeah, we're at chapter 23, verse 23. It's on page 727 at the bottom of the Hebrew.
ברכו את אדוני ברוך. ברוך אדוני ברוך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחרבנו מכל אמן ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. V'daber Adonai al Moshe lemor. Daber el b'nei Yisrael lemor. B'chodesh HaShevi'i b'chol HaChodesh. Yelachem Shabbaton zichron shua mikra kodesh. Kom lechet avodah lo ta'asu v'ikravtem Yishel Adonai. V'daber Adonai al Moshe lemor. Ach be'ezor. B'chodesh HaShevi'i hazeh yom HaKippurim. V'ikra kodesh yelachem. V'nitem b'nafshotechem. V'ikravtem Yishel Adonai. B'chol melacha lo ta'asu b'etzem hayom hazeh. Ki yom kippurim hu lecha be'her alechem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. Ki chol ha'nefesh asher lo te'uneh b'etzem hayom hazeh v'nichreta me'ameha. V'chol ha'nefesh asher ta'aseh kol malacha b'etzem hayom hazeh v'avadeti et ha'nefesh ha'hi mikirav hama. Kol malacha lo ta'asu chukat olam l'dorotechem b'chol moshvotechem Shabbat Shabbaton hu lachem v'nitem b'nafshotechem. Patisha lachodesh ba'erev, me'erev ad erev tishbetu Shabbatechem.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיילים נטע בסופנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yamot Chamishi.
And the fifth aliyah is on, starts on page, at the top of 729.
Yamot Moshe ben Nehemiah. Chamishi.
Baruch es Adonai HaBaruch.
Olam v'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBaruch La'olam Bo'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bocharנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'daber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el b'nei Yisrael lemor. Chamisha azar yom. HaChodesh HaShvi'i hazeh chag HaSukkot shivat yamim Adonai. Yom HaRishon mikra kodesh kom lechet avodah lo ta'asu shivat yamim tarku Yishel Adonai. Bayom hashmini mikra kodesh yelachem mikravtem Yishel Adonai atzereti kom lechet avodah lo ta'asu ele moadei Adonai asher tikra'u otam mikra kodesh lakriv Yishel Adonai ola mincha zavach nesachim devar yom beyomo milvad shabbatot Adonai milvad manotechem milvad kol nidrechem milvad kol nidvotechem asher titnu l'Adonai b'chamisha asayam b'chodesh HaShvi'i bospechem et v'ot haaretz tachogu et chag Adonai shivat yamim v'yom HaRishon Shabbaton v'yom HaShmini Shabbaton L'kachtem lachem v'yom HaRishon pri eitz hadar kapot marim v'anaf eitz avod v'arvei nachal usmachtem lifnei Adonai Elohechem shivat yamim v'chagotem oto chag Adonai shivat yamim b'shana chukat olam l'dorotechem b'chodesh HaShvi'i tachogu oto b'sukot tishvu shivat yamim kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yishvu b'sukot l'man yadu Yedu dorotechem givasugod. Ushavti et bnei Yisrael b'hotzii otam eretz Mitzrayim ani Adonai Elohechem v'yidaber Moshe et moadei Adonai el bnei Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher notan lanu Torah emet v'haya olam notat b'sohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yigada Vigada Shemi Rabbi V'yolamad Yivrach Erudei V'yamelech Machludei V'chayech V'yamecha V'chayidech Obed Yisrael Ba'agala V'vizmahar Gari V'imrel
Amen.
Yesh Mei Rabba Mivorach Li'olam Lame Almaya Yidbarach Yidbarach V'jdabach V'idbar V'idma V'idnaseh V'idhadar V'idhaleh V'idhalal Shemidi Kudishah V'hila Mikabir Lachada V'shirahada Tushbechada Nechemada Tahamira B'yoma V'imrel Amen. Yaman Bagbiyah Tamar Golelet Sefer Rishon. You can handle it. You did it yesterday. I did it yesterday. You can handle it.
Where's David Gagubi when you need him?
V'yezol HaTorah asher sam Moshe Lifnei bnei Yisrael al biyad Adonai biyad Moshe.
You may be seated. The Maftir Aliyah is found on page 934, verse 12.
Yamod, Achazan, Zev Shalom, Ben Harav, Tzvi Chaim, Ben Atzaleah, Maftir Hazak.
Yep.
Baruch Hu Adonai B'Barach.
Baruch Olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai B'Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Chamisha asar yom b'chodesh hashvi'i v'yikra kodesh elachem kol melechad avodah lo ta'asu v'chagotem chag l'Adonai shivat yamim v'yikravtem Allah yishereach nichoach l'Adonai parim b'nei bakar shlosha asar elim shnayim kivasi b'nei shana asar tmimim yihiyu amin chatam solet b'ua v'shamen shlosha esronim lapar echad V'shlosha asar parim shnei esronim la'el ha'echad v'shnei ha'elim v'sarod yisaro ma'keves ha'echad arba'a asar kvasim v'sir izim echad chadad milvad ulahad adamim min chadha v'nizchah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chai olam natan b'tochinu baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Rebecca, do we like it? No. Oh, Jackie? Okay. Come on, Magbia. Come on, Agolel. Sefer Sheni. Please rise. This Torah asher tzad Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael b'yad Adonai b'yad Moshe.
Okay, the Haftarah is found on page 1257. It's the story of bringing the Ark of the Covenant back where it's supposed to be in Jerusalem.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim ratzav v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet Baruch Adonai habachir b'torav Moshe avdo v'Yisrael amaho v'nviyehi ha'emet v'tzedek Vayikalu el hamelech Shlomo kol is Yisrael beyar racha etanim bechagu hachodesh hashvi'i vayavu kol zignei Yisrael vayisu hakohanim et haron vaya'alu et Aron Adonai v'el moed vel kol klei hakodesh asher ba'ohel v'alu otam hakohanim v'alevi'im V'amelech Shlomo v'chol adad Yisrael hanoadim Allah v'ito livnei ha'aron mizabechim tzon v'agar asher lo yisafru v'lo yimanu meiro v'yavihu hakohanim et Aron berit Adonai el mekomo el devir habayit el kodesh hakodoshim el tachat kanvei hakruvim Ki akruvim borshim gnafayim el mekom Aharon vayasoku akruvim al Aharon v'al badav milemala vayarichu habadim vayirau Roshei habadim min hakodesh apnei hadevir v'lo yirau hachutza vayusham ad hayom hazeh ein Baron rak shnei luchot avanim asher hiniach sham Moshe b'chorev asher karat Adonai ibnei Yisrael b'tzedam me'eretz Mitzrayim vayhi b'tzed hakohanim min hakodesh ve'nad malei et beit Adonai lo yachlu hakohanim lamod l'sharet mibnei Hanan Ki malech kavod Adonai et beit Adonai Az amar Shlomo Adonai amar Lishkon ba'arafel Bano vaniti ben zevulach Machon l'shivtecha ha'olamim Vayasiv ha'melech et banav Vayivarech eid kol gal Yisrael Omeid vayomer Baruch Adonai Elohei Yisrael Asher diber b'viv, David avi, v'yado milei lemor, min hayom, asher hotzeiti, et Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, lo V'acharti v'hir mikol shivtei Yisrael, livnot bayit liod shemi sham, v'evchar b'David liod alami Yisrael, v'yihi im levav David avi, livnot bayit l'shem Adonai Elohei Yisrael, v'yomer Adonai el David aviyan, asher haya im levavecha livnot bayit lishmi, Hetivoda ki haya im levavecha ragata lo tivne habayit ki im mincha yotzei mechalatzecha hu yivne habayit lishmihi vayagem Adonai et devaro asher diber vakum tachat David avi ve'eshiv al kisei Yisrael kasher diber Adonai, v'evnei habayit, Shem Adonai, Elohei Yisrael, v'asim sham magom laron, asher sham berit Adonai, asher karadim avotinu, botziot ha'meretz Mitzrayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, tzor kol olamim, tzadik b'chol derot, Ela nemahad omer v'yosem adaber mekayim shikol davar omer medvad tzedek nemahad atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'nemanim dvarecha v'davar echad midvarecha kol lo yashul v'rigam ki hamelech nemam rachamana baruch atah Adonai Ela nemam b'chol devaram v'achim al ziyagi beit chayinu v'lalu v'nevesh toshiach b'mirha v'yameinu Baruch atah Adonai, Misamech Tzion b'vanecha.
Amen.
Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu v'le'an avi avdecha, v'malchut beit David mishichecha, b'meir hayavaho v'yagel libinu, al gizaho lo yishev zar, v'lo yinchalu od acherim ekevodo, ki b'shem gojecha nishbad alaho, shalach ben nimraho ve'elam ba'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Magi David.
Amen.
Al Torah v'al avodah v'al nevi'im, V'al yom chag ha-Sukkot hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, l'sasot l'simcha, lecha lo divaret, halakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, v'vrachim odach, yibarach shimcha b'vichocha et tamid l'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadosh Yisrael, v'ha'azmanim.
Amen. Shkoich.
Rochtia.
I think we just move on to Ashrei here.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
151. Ashrei yoshvei v'itecha odi halalucha sela.
Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav.
Tila li David, Rabbi Macha Elohai HaMelech, Baruch Shimcha le'olam va'ed.
B'chol yom avachecha, v'ala shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai mehulam mi'achod, v'ligrelado ein cheker.
Dor li dor yishabach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kevad hodecha, v'divrei niflodecha asicha.
Zuz norotecha yomeru, u'gedulatcha saprena.
Zicharav devchaya habihu, v'tzidkadecha yiraneinu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim u'gedal chesed.
Tov Adonai lahakol, v'racham aval kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasitecha yivarchucha.
Kivod malchutecha yomeru, gevuratecha yidabehiru.
Dia livnei ha'adam gevurotah, v'chivod hadar malchuto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshatecha bechol dor v'dor.
Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakfufim.
Hine yichlecha yisabiru, v'atarate lahem et achlamito.
Teach et yadecha, u'masbiya l'chol cheratzon.
Tzadik Adonai bechol dirachav, v'chasiv bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai l'chol korav, l'chol asher yikru v'emet.
Ritzon yireya v'yaseh, v'yetzavat hamishma v'yoshim.
Shomer Adonai et kol oavav, v'et kol rishayim yashmir.
Ilhat Adonai yidabir v'yivarech b'asar shimkot shol le'olam ba'ed. V'anachnu nevarech ya, Me'ada v'yad olam. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, et Shem Adonai, Ken Yizgav Shemo Levado, Hada Valeret Vishamayim, Vayaret Keren Yavo, Ilalecho Chazida, B'nei Yisrael, Akirovo, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Medavi Mizmor, Adonai Atzubala, Hidel V'Yosheva, Yuayami V'Sada, Yahweh Bonea, V'Yaleh Maharadonai, V'Yakumiko Kojo, V'Yiki V'Vayu V'Ardima, Asher 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 Hashi V'Nishmat Lefirma, Yisrael Rafa V'Yidadonai, Zracham V'Yidah, Zedron Rasham, V'Vanzi V'Necha, Yaakov Selah, Zeru Sheharim Roshem, V'Yinasu V'Yidechei Olam, Yavo Melech HaKavod, Mizemelech HaKavod, Adonai Yisluch V'Gibor, Adonai Gibor Belchama, Tzivu Sheharim Roshem, V'Usil V'Yidechei Olam, Yavo Melech HaKavod, Mizemelech HaKavod,
Adonai, Tzivot, Melech HaKavod, Elah. Nucho Yomar.
Lecha Yomar. Lekach Yomadati Lachem, Torati Ada Asavu, Eitz Chaim, Lama Chazekim Ba, V'Tom Echeha, Perusha, Dichacheha, Yachin Ha'olam, V'chodet Yivoteha, Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elech HaVekashua, Kohanesh, Kohanesh Yameinu, Kohanesh Yameinu,
Perfect. The ark is closed, and as I see, we remain standing for the Hatzi Kaddish that ends the Torah service and takes us into the Musaf. We're on page 155.
Yitgadav Yitgadav Shemei Rabbah Yalamad Yivrach Yerudei V'Amelech Malchutei V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayidecha B'Eit Yisrael Ba'agala Ba'agala V'Vizmar Gari V'Imrel Yesh Mei Rabbah Mivorach Li'olam Lo Me'al Maya Yitbarach, Yitbarach, Vishtabach, Vitbar, Vitman, Vitnase, Vithadar, Vithadar, Vithadal, Shemede Gudijah, Vila Mingo Birlachada, Vishirada, Tuzbechada, Penechemada, Damiran Bialma Vimrel. Amen.
We'll pray together on page 166B, and we'll include the Kedusha on 157, and then when we're done with the Kedusha on 157, we skip over to page 170, and we silently finish from 170 to 178.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGiboy VeHanara, El Elyon, Kom El Chazarim Tovim, V'ganei HaGol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot, V'mevi Goel Livnei V'nehem, V'man Shivot B'Yahava, Melech Ozel V'gin Moshiel Magin Baruch, Adonai, Magin Avraham, V'gin Sarah, Adagi Bor Li'olam Adonai, Mechimiti Mahata, Rav Loshia, Mohorid Hata, Mecha Kel Chaim Bechesed, Bechayim Eidim, Birachamim Rabim, Samech Navim Verovech Olim, Umadir Asurim, Umikayim Emunada, Lishenei Avar, Michamo Chama Givurah, Umida Melah, Melech Memi, Umechael, Umazmiach Yeshua, V'neman Adalach Ayod Medim Baruch, Adonai, Michael HaMetim.
Amen.
Naharizecha v'nagizecha Kizotziyach Sarvei Kodesh Hamagdishim Shimcha B'Kodesh Kagadu Hayad Nevi'echa V'garazeh El Zeviamar Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivot, Melech Haaretz Kivodo, Kivodo, Maliolam, V'sharidam Shvalim Zelazeh, Hayim Mikom Kivodo, Hilmadam Baruch Yomeru, Baruch Kivodo Adonai Bimkomo. Mimkama, Livem Berachamim, V'yachonam, Hayachadim Shemo, Echer Avoger, Bechoyam Damir, Pamayim Yava, Shema Omrim, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Eloheinu, Avinu, Malkeinu, Mosheinu, Vehu, Yashmeinu, Birachama, Sheinit, Lenegochai, Yalachem Lelohim.
Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adir Reinu, Adonai Adonai, Madir Shimcha B'Charetz, Vaya Adonai Melech Haaretz, Vaya Hamahel, Adonai Echad, Shemo Echad, V'divrei Kodecha Katuv Lemor, Yimloch Adonai Le'olam, Elayach Siyachol V'dor Bador, Hallelujah. V'dor Bador, Nagid V'alecha, V'nezach Nezakim Zadecha Nagdish, V'shivcha Chalaheinu Mipinu Le'amus Yolamael, Ki Amelch L'Makadosh, Ata Barach, Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
170 to 178. wrap up Musaf and head into our, no, we don't. First thing we do is a Hakafah, page 200.
We'll open the ark and take out a Torah,
Yeah.
place it on this. Everybody, grab a lulav. I'll wait, it's okay. These plastic bags can be tricky that hold the lulav. All right, everybody got the ready? Okay.
Hoshana lemancha Eloheinu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Eloheinu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Boreinu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Boreinu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Goleinu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Goalenu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Roshenu, Hoshana.
Hoshana lemancha Dorshenu, Hoshana.
Heaven Shedia, Hoshana, Beta Chira, Goren Orna, Divya Mitsuna, Hoshana, Har Hamoria, Hoshana, V'Hayireh, Hoshana, Zevu Divartecha, Hoshana, Chana David, Hoshana, Kabalavana, Hoshana, Gefeinof Misos Karet, Hoshana, Kililad Yofi, Hoshana, Linan Artebe, Hoshana, Achi Meshivtecha, Hoshana, Naveshanan, Hoshana, Sukkot Shalim, Hoshana, Aliyah Shelatim, Hoshana, Hinat Yikrat, Hoshana, Tzion HaMitzuyemet, Hoshana, Kodesh HaKadoshim, Hoshana, Ratsu V'Hava, Hoshana, Shechinat Givodecha, Hoshana, Tateviot, Hoshana.
Save yourself and us as you redeemed our ancestors from Egypt, releasing your people from bondage.
Hoshana, as you saved our nation and its leaders, sing aloud for salvation.
Help us now as you delivered the host of our people, accompanied by hosts of angels.
Hoshana. Jesus said from
Help us now as you rescued those sinking in the depths of the sea, your light enabling them to cross over. Hosanna. Help us now. As you freed them, declaring, I will bring you out, which our sages interpreted, I went out with you.
Hosanna. As you aided those who ring the altar, carrying willow branches to encircle it.
Help us now. As you redeemed the captured ark from our foes, punishing the Philistines with your wrath.
Hosanna. As you treasured the people you sent into Babylon, accompanying them into exile.
Help us now. As you ease the lot of the captive tribes of Jacob, return and restore us who dwell still in the tents of Jacob.
And save us. As you have always fulfilled the hopes of those devoted to these foes, who wait for redemption, O God of redemption.
Help us.
Hosanna. You certainly beseech you.
Help us.
Hosanna. Anilo Hoshiana.
Olam. In ode.
Kaddish Alei 181. Yitgadal v'yitgadal shmei rahaba.
Amen.
Ve'alma diver ha'chirudei ve'avlich ma'chudei. Ve'cha yichanu ve'yom yichon. Ve'cha yidcha b'ed Israel. V'galav izmar gari v'yimherel.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rav Barak Leolam Omer Maya Yitbarach.
Yitbarach. Vishtabach, Vidbar, Vitrabam, Vidnasi, Vidadar, Vidale, Vidala, Shemede, Kuludisha,
Brichu.
Vihela, Minkol, Birlachada, Birlachada, Vishirada, Vishbegada, Vedachamada, Mira, Mihalema, Vihimere.
Amen.
Tikabas, Lodava, Necho, Israel, Kadumani, Vishmaya, Vihimiru.
Amen.
Yes, Tamaraba, Min, Shemaya. Chaim Aleinu v'Yakov Yisrael v'Yimero.
Amen.
Oseh Shalom v'Yimroma v'Yaseh Shalom Aleinu v'Yakov Yisrael v'Yimero.
Amen. 182 in Kelohenu. You can be seated for just a minute.
In Kelohenu, in Kadonenu, in Kilmagenu, in Kemoshienu, in Elohenu, in Kadonenu, in Kemagenu, in Kemoshienu, in Kelohenu, in Kadonenu, in Kilmagenu, in Kemoshienu, Nada, Elohenu, Nada, Elohenu, Nada, Elohenu, Nada, Moshenu, Elohenu, Kadonenu, Engimagenu, Egmoshienu, Baruch, Elohenu, Baruch, Adonenu, Baruch, Emagenu, Baruch, Emoshienu, Elohenu, Kadonenu, Inki Magino, Inki Moshienu, Atahu, Eloheinu, Atahu, Eroneinu, Atahu, Emaginu, Atahu, Emoshienu, Inki Eloheinu, Inki Adoneinu, Inki Maginu, Inki Moshienu, Atahu, Ejeidiru, Ajeinu, Lecha, Necha, Et Kitore, Asamim, Inki Eloheinu, Inki Adoneinu, Inki Maginu, Inki Moshienu.
183, Alinu L'Shabeach.
Alinu L'Shabeach L'Adonai, Atik D'Lo Yosef Rishi, Shelo Shamik V'Yarashah, V'Lo Samaria, V'Lo Dadama, Shelo Samchakidu Bahem, V'Gor Alinu, Kechol Amonam, V'Nam L'Korim, V'Mishkochavim U'Modim, Livnei Melech, Achi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noten Shamayim V'Yosei Haaretz, V'Madami Ha'ol V'Shamayim V'Ma'al, V'In Haduzot, V'In Haduzot, V'Godim V'Romim,
Hu Eloheinu.
Kagatus b'toratecha, Adonai Eloheinu V'Ayer,
Emar v'haya Adonai, lecha kol haaretz, Omahu, Hahu, Adonai echad, Shemo. And you may be seated. In solemn testimony to the unbroken faith which links one generation to the next, those in mourning or observing a yortzeit now rise to praise God's name with the words of the mourner's Kaddish on page 184. Anyone saying Kaddish? Okay, well, it's got to be said, because Kaddish is a punctuation mark in the service. The question comes up, do you have to say Kaddish if there's nobody mourning? Yes, because the Kaddish is there to punctuate the service. It tells you that this section is over, and we're moving on to the next. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yolmad divrach kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael. B'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam u'lomei omaya. Yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiron b'yoma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Since we're doing the Kiddush outside, not outside, in the sukkah, within the welcoming wings of the sukkah. There are the same announcements as yesterday. I'll just sort of hint at them, and you know the rest of it. The most important thing is that you want to be here for this coming Saturday for the membership Sukkot lunch. And it doesn't cost you anything except the phone call. You have to RSVP. So the office is open tomorrow. And you want to RSVP for a regular Shabbatot so we know how much food to make for Kiddush. The lift ride, the transportation program. See either Jack Sikowski, Ken Levin, or Barry Klatzker. People, okay, masks, vaccinations. 5782 calendars, September tidings, and other flyers are in the multipurpose room. Now, if you want to take one of these lovely lulav and etrog sets home, there is a cost to them, but if not, just leave it here. And that's, I think that's everything, that's all I got. Oh, the Misha Barak list. If you need-
Also, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, just, they know what to do with the Misha Barak list.
I think there's a special Erev Shabbat service, October 8th, right? With,
Yeah,
Marcia
Marcia
Tilton?
Tilton's going to do it.
Yeah, so just make a note of that, October 8th. And we'll figure out whether or not we do a service toward the end of the month, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. What? October's Friday night. It's Rabbi Marcia Tilton will be leading the service that evening with probably a special musical guest that she likes to invite. So it's nice if we can support her in doing that.
Yeah.
Something we're trying to bring you, a variety of service experiences. And we'll be in touch about whether or not we'll have our traditional, let me ask you this. I'm gonna throw it out there for you. How many of you think you might be able to attend if we had a service this Shabbat at Friday night, because we can have Kiddush in the Sukkah, you know what I'm saying? Being in the Sukkah, would you be up for that, or just toward the end of the month? Something we'll discuss.
We could put the one at the end of the month on.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking, because otherwise, because Marcia's service is so much, it's the next
It'd
week.
be 2 weeks in a row.
That way people who maybe couldn't come to shul during the week, they can sit in the Sukkah on Friday night when they have a little time, and it might be nice to be out there in the evening. So I'm leaning toward that. I think that's a good idea, only because if we do the Friday night service traditionally at the end of the month, which is to be the 30th, the next week Marcia's there, and you know how the situation is. I want to make sure people can attend her service and our service. So we'll discuss.
Well, her service is our service.
Yeah, we'll put out a phone tree on that. But I'm just letting you know there's a good likelihood, I think, that we'll have a Erev Shabbat service, and that way we might even be able to do it in the Sukkah.
Yeah, with the amount of people we.
Yeah, I mean, we might sacrifice the live stream that way, but we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right, without further ado then, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you all for being here. Each one of you made the minyan, every single one of you, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
It was
not
nice.
at first, but you did. As a matter of fact, do the Baruch.
Anyway, it was
Zev,
what?
do Baruch. Please rise.
Oh, let's do Baruch Hu, okay.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
And now concluding the world's shortest service, we turn to page 187. Don't allow. Anything else, Rabbi? Is that-
No.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Go Yitzin Ivra the Eid Nazah V'Chefzo Go Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Yacharei Kiglach Dago Levado Kiglach Nara V'Hu Haya V'Hu Ve V'Hu Yeh B'Tifara V'Hu Yeh B'Tifara V'Hu Echad V'Yegin Sheni Lehamshilo Leachbira V'Li Reshit V'Li Dachli V'Lo Ha'oz V'Ha'misra V'Lo Ha'oz V'Ha'misra V'Hu Eli V'Cha'igo Ali V'Tzor Chevli V'Yitzara V'Hunezi U'Margosi V'Nadgosi V'Yomekra V'Nadgosi V'Yomekra V'Yado Ha'Gidruchi V'Yedishan V'Ya'ira V'Yibruchi V'Yati Adonai Li V'Lo Ira Adonai Li V'Lo Ira
Chag Sameach.
Okay, Rebecca. Take care. Good to see you. I'll see you when I see you. It's always a pleasure. Okay. Did Tony say they restored the live stream?
It was interrupted. Somebody hacked in.
Did they come back and say they put it back on?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Somebody put some porno on our site, I guess.
Is that what they said?
That's the impression I got from David, but.
So what have you been reading lately in Wall Street